What up? It's your boy Matt Mason coming at you live from inside a tin can. Let's just go ahead and get the awkwardness out of the way. I don't have my mic today. Is Rich Ryan going to fire me? I don't know. He doesn't even listen. Our CEO he's out there basking in the fact that he just qualified for Worlds in both races. He's not listening to Race Brain. But today is a very special episode. You know why? Because we got the boys and a very special guest joining us all the way from down under. Up first, we have the slowest member of any high school girls 4x4 relay team in the state of Wisconsin. This dude's got more super shoes and still probably can't crack 60 on a 400. That's right. We got Bracken Crocker. Bracken, how we doing today?
Appalled. I can't run a thing on this earth, but I can break 60. Give me that credit.
All right, let's go ahead and get right next to the next intro because I do want to talk about this because he reached out to me all the way from down under. Some call this man the closer. Some people say he looks that he should probably bring the hair back. Got to give him a little bit of a hard time, but all that matters is what Georgie thinks. That's right. Correct. We have Georgie's fiance, James Kelly. JK, how are we doing today?
I'm very well, thank you, lads. Matt, just to preface, I'm still a believer that I would not crack.
Yeah, so VK, this is what I want you to hear.
I know. I will fight through the screen today.
So JK reached out to me because JK sometimes listens to the show.
63, 62 and a half, 63. Max.
He doesn't think he can crack 60 and a 400.
My belief is that any man who can break 60 in a Hyrox should be able to break 60 in a 400, and any man who can make the Elite 15 absolutely can.
Outside of you are wrong, Bracken.
Outside of one individual, I would bet my life can't, and I'm not going to say his name because that's rude.
You are completely wrong there because I know myself so well. I do not have that speed. I do not have that speed.
I will never tell you. You have earned the right as an athlete to have respect. All right. I will never go against you in most things, but I will say that most athletes who don't race short distance greatly undersell their ability to race short distance. As their top end long distance grows, they get less and less confident in the bottom end, and then they shock themselves. So I just believe that it's not that you're wrong. It's just that you haven't tried it.
Fair, because I can't remember the last time I have done a 400 flat out.
You have to have run sub 70 the first quarter of a Hyrox before.
Sure, yeah, I've done that multiple times, but
right.
but the difference between a sub 70 and that top end, that top end speed that you need for a sub 60 is different. But hey, maybe we will get to a point where I do test this theory after Worlds, maybe in the off season, and
maybe instead of running the Gold Coast Marathon, maybe you can train that top end, and then we can see if you can break 60.
And hey, just on that note, that's definitely probably that's something that I'll be probably doing in the off season more so than running a bloody marathon again.
We'll get into that in a second. And the final member of today's panel, everybody's favorite stats guy, Matt B. Davis, said, F you, Rocks Opt, high result, Rocks Fit, whatever. I only care what Jack Bauer says about the stats. Jack told me before the race, he started 10 minutes behind me. He said, Matt, don't let me catch you. And it came down to the wall balls because I got absolutely fucking starched in Phoenix. And Jack Bauer almost caught me from 10 minutes behind. Jack, how we doing?
Well, we were both lying on the finish area, the ramp. So I'd estimate I didn't see you cross the line within 5 to 10 seconds of each other. So almost did it. But
you almost did it. Look,
and like any good CEO, you mentioned that Rich is out there. He's too busy making money. We're just the poor people doing all the hard work right now for Race Brand.
Hang on, though. Hang on. I thought, boys, I thought Rich would be here, but it might be because I pipped him on the weekend. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Rich, I wish you were here, mate. I'm sorry that I beat you on the weekend.
He's big time in all of us.
He's big time. Rich is out there big timing us. Rich is out there big timing us. Yeah, the race brain crew we were out in force in Phoenix. We were down there. Michelle Navarro stuck her nose in it. Jack Bauer stuck his nose in it. Jack, was that a PR?
The PR, yep.
Hell yeah, Jack. Jack was getting a PR. Michelle did not get a PR. However, Michelle did actually race. She was in the top heat, which was awesome, and it was really awesome to watch. Michelle, you should be very proud of your effort. It was great, and you will undoubtedly be there with the big dogs again. The homie Rich did that work. He did get pipped by JK. So you know what? Why don't we just go ahead and why don't we just get right into it? So we're going to talk about Phoenix today, and then we got JK here, so we're just going to get into some whatever, BK is the best question asker in all of hybrid fitness podcasting. Wow. So we'll just see where that takes us.
Can I start with the question then? Matt, can you tell us how the fantasy results went?
Yeah, I can actually. So actually, you know what, Bracken? I would love to do that because there has been a lot of people talking about how bad my fantasy performances have been. But not anymore. I went back to what makes me successful. I made the right picks in the right rounds, and here are your updates. Michelle Navarro, I believe, with her first fantasy win, 35 points. And then in a tie for second place, one Bracken Crocker and your boy, me, 39 points. Unfortunately, Dylan Scott decided to use his best solo performance on Saturday night instead of Thursday night. Had he run that race on Saturday night, I would have absolutely cooked the field because I took 3, 4, and 5 on the women's side from the 4th spot. And in last place, this man might be good at stats, but might need to reconsider his draft strategy. Jack Bauer bringing up the caboose with 43 points. Jack, anything you'd like to say for yourself?
Yeah, congrats on bragging from the 3rd step of the podium. I mean, you absolutely crushed us.
He bragged
out of 4.
3rd, 4th, and 5th. I picked the last, 2nd last, and 3rd last women and still tied him.
Yep.
Well done.
Yeah, you know what? Some of us haven't gotten to pick Joanna in back-to-back drafts. So sorry that you just get an instant 1 point in the last 2 drafts.
Remember when I got
my MVP was Jake.
Lauren twice in a row?
Your MVP was JK.
Yes.
Actually, you took both Aussies, so F you.
Yeah, Matt, I do have one thing to say, and I posted it in the group chat. I thought the best thing that I saw, the best graphic that I saw all weekend was who do you think is going to win or whose team's the best? And Chim made it for us. And the 3 of us were on the, everyone except for you was on the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You just knew you weren't going to win, so she just excluded you from your own graphic.
I'm on my way back. I am on my way back. We're recalibrating. We're rethinking some things. Don't worry about the boy. The boy's going to be just fine. All right. On to the men's race. This was an exciting race. We have got your 2024 world champion in first place, Alexander Ronkovich, 53.16, 1 second off the world record. In second place, our co-host today, all the way from Australia, James Kelly, with a 53.39. In third place, Race Brain CEO Rich Ryan, 53.57. He actually also came across the line. I think it came down to 0.2. Sean Noble, 53.57. And Tomasz Tverdik, 54.13. I feel like I've got to tell this story really quick just because we're going to give people the real. So I got to meet Sean Noble on the weekend. I actually met Sean Noble late on a Saturday night. And Sean Noble started chirping me. So Sean listens to the show. So Sean, if you're listening to this, love you. It was great meeting you. Sean was chirping me for not drafting him. He said, you should have drafted me. And he said, only Jack Bauer knows what he's talking about because he took me. And I said,
late on a Saturday.
Yeah, it was late. It was pretty late on a Saturday at this point. And I said, I'm not going to repeat word for word what I said because it's not safe for the airwaves. But I said, Sean, if you want me to draft you in a race, don't make a pre-race excuse. And then he told me that he would be more than happy to show me his MRI. And I said, look, I just made the best decision with the information I had There was a brief moment where I thought that Sean Noble might choke me out. Thank God Dawson Miller was there to intervene and explain what was happening. But my point in bringing up this story is, if you are an Elite 15 athlete and you are listening to Race Brain prior to an elite race, I have a couple questions for you. One, why? Two, who cares? Who cares what I think? I'm sitting in an air conditioning office space in St. Louis, Missouri, and my opinion of you or your performance has no bearing on how you're going to do on the race day. And number three, if you're that upset about it, pull a Dylan Scott and give me the double fingers when you cross the finish line, because it doesn't matter. JK, your thoughts?
Yeah, Matt, yeah. You nailed it. You nailed it there. Yeah. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. I do not listen to you guys at all now. Because of what you just said, Matt. Like, it is the amount of times, like in the past and a year more, maybe 18 months ago, that I did listen, and your opinions directly affected me. It was amazing. So, like, I've controlled, or I started to control what information I put in, right? And it's just damn right important for me as an athlete. Note, as an athlete, not an influencer, that I sorry, but I don't care what you guys think of my performance or not. Hey, like, that's not me. Hopefully you guys don't take offense to that yourself, right?
You
anyway,
either shouldn't care, or you should only use it as motivation. Those are the only two things anyone should ever take away. Not that we're media, but the only thing you should ever take away from media is, I don't care, or great, now I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah. But, it's an interesting one, Bracken, because we do live in a world of media, social media. Everyone's got a say, and you can either make you can either choose to play the game and choose to let the information that you receive affect you, or not, right? But hey, like, let's use Dylan Scott as an example, right? Like, he obviously would be very upset / not happy with his Elite 15 Thursday night performance, but then, as you said, Matt, absolutely smashed it on Saturday night, and to me that shows so much more. What's the right word? Well, I respect that a lot more as an athlete, knowing that, hey, like, he's just not posting shit on social media just to validate himself. He's actually showing up the next day and actually proving everyone else not wrong, but proving everyone else that what happened on Thursday night is not him. Full stop, period.
Yep.
It's interesting to see in this sport really what we saw in OCR, which is we're a victim of our own success. It was a nothing sport, and then it became a sport, and the people rose with it. They didn't grow up with it. So, like, professional sports, by the time they're 13, they're already in a national spotlight. By the time they're 20, they've gone through media training. They've had 10 years of people talking about them online. By the time they're 25, everything bounces off their skin. Where in our sport, most of us, not all, but most of us were kind of normal, average to above average athletes, but not in the public spotlight, and not in the media, in the social media comment spotlight, the way they suddenly are. And so we saw it in OCR. We see it here. People take things very personally and get very offended by it, because there's that blurring of the lines between competitors, friends, fans, media, and athletes, where, like, in the NFL, it's very obvious. Like, everyone's out to get me, or they're my teammate, and I don't care if they're out to get me because I only care about my team. Here, everything blurs, and people, they don't have media training, and it shows. And that's not a knock on them. People weren't prepared for the moment they're in right now.
Exactly. And, like, what I'm about to say is my own personal opinion. Take it or leave it / use it to not use it, but listen to it or not. But in my perspective, as an athlete at the top end of a sport now, if I have an injury leading into a race, if I am sick leading into a race, you would have to kill me before letting my opponents know that I have an injury. Like, sorry, lads, or sorry, anyone who has done that. But there is no way I would let anyone know that I'm injured or sick. And we see that time and time again. And hey, I'll be honest, not just our sport. We see it all over the world these days. People making excuses, telling the world that their lead up to a race hasn't gone to plan, validating themselves before the race has started. And look, like, my opinion, that's sad.
Yeah.
Well, if your leading goes according to plan, you're already the exception to the rule. It's a fallacy that everyone shows up like at 100%. Most pro athletes are injured in some way most times of the year, even if it's something small. Everyone's dealing with something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. On the Sean piece specifically, Sean, if you're still listening at this point, I just want to say, from all of us at Race Brain, it's never personal. I think that every elite 15 athlete that I have met, I'm a fan of. They're all, well, that's not true, but most of them I'm a fan of. There's some that I'm definitely not, but I'll keep that one to myself. But like, it's never personal, right? Like, I think that was the funny thing to me, is it was this realization of like, look, I'm just a guy with a podcast who's a super fan of the sport, who knows a lot about the sport. I didn't realize that my words like had impact to the athletes, but then the more I thought about it, it's like, hey man, it's not personal, right? Like, it's just not. Like Charlie Bottrell. The funny thing about Charlie, I met Charlie too, and BK. I don't know if I shared this in the group chat. Charlie, right after the Elite 15 race, I'm like waiting to talk to Rich. He walks up to me and he goes, "Hey man, guess you and Bracken were finally right about me." And I go, "What?" And he goes, you and BK, you were finally right about me." And I was like, "You listen?" First off, I was like, "You listen to Race Brain?" And he was like, "Yeah, every week." I was like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy." And I go, "For the record, I never said anything. Bracken was the said that you were going to wash yourself." And so I think like, but he was in good spirits about it, because he said like, "Look, I just can't wait to race again and prove Bracken wrong." And I think that's the right attitude. I think that would be my main point, is like, look, if we just got up here on a podcast, let's just be honest, if we just talked about how great everybody is, it'd be really boring to listen to.
It is the hard part about having opinions, right? Like I said the same thing about James. I said, James has raced at a higher frequency and keeps making podiums than anyone I've seen in the sport. Like at some point it has to come down. And I said it about Charlie. Like anyone who races more than everyone else is going to get that comment. Not because I was right or wrong about Charlie. It's because of the pattern of racing. Like those things are just commodities in the sport, and commodities must be known and talked about.
What's true about Dylan too, right? No one on this podcast would agree that Dylan is not a top 5, top 4 athlete in the sport right now. But every single race that Dylan toes the line, he runs the risk of having a bad day. But no more so than anyone else. It's just he puts himself out there more, so then it's bound to happen.
And there is two things can be true at once. I can believe that Charlie has raced too much, in my opinion, and also be extremely disappointed if he ever has a bad race. Like me saying I think that it's probably not a sustainable schedule is not the same as me hoping I get proved right. I spent a decade trying to make my living racing. At first, I wanted no one else to fail. I mean, no one else to succeed. I wanted everyone to fail except me. And by the end of it, on my way out, I'd gotten to the point where I respected everyone else's hustle so much that I just want to see everyone succeed. So if I say someone's heading for a drop-off potentially, it is not me saying I hope. It's, good Lord, I hope they find a way not to, because I know what you're going through from a different perspective. I lived it. You're living it. I know the stress that eats at you at night. I know how bills look when you don't have an annual salary guaranteed to come in. I want everyone to be successful, but I will talk about potential negatives, because this can't be fully a fluff piece.
For sure.
The buy-in, I'll use the word or the phrase buy-in from athletes, and not only us elite 15 athletes. These days is crazy, right? Like, so you could say like a lot of people's whole life is Hyrox. And look, like there's a part of me that thinks that's great. Like obviously people have a lot of motivation in the sport now. It's obviously it's a positive environment to be around, health and fitness, racing, etc., etc. Until when though? Until Hyrox is their only thing in life and validate themselves from their racing and their racing only. And you know, like just to preface this, right? Like I'm not out here like saying that I know, like I don't feel that or like I'm just saying what I've gone through the last 3 years being in this sport and how I've developed somewhat of a mentality to understand that, hey, if a race doesn't go to plan like Melbourne, that's okay. and not only that's okay, but, and just quickly, the biggest thing that I'm proud of after my Melbourne race was that I lived in my embarrassment. I lived in my sorrows and my anger, and until it was like, nah, like I'm gonna prove more so myself wrong here, right? And others, but people just don't know how to lose. To finish that off,
it's difficult in any sport. Confidence gets taken away really, really quickly. It might take a decade to build it up, in one moment to lose it. But I've never met a sport other than triathlon and maybe cycling that you can train as much as athletes can train in Hyrox. And so the investment, like 100% in on Hyrox and 100% on marathoning, is not the same thing. Even though you're both all in, the time investment is so huge that if you put it all in and it goes wrong, it's really easy to think, well, I did, like, what else I can't even do it with all that. And it's really hard to keep that. I can still go out and race. That was a fluke. Like, because how could it be a fluke? I just trained 15 to 20 hours for 5 years. How could that be a fluke? There are no flukes. So it's really difficult for people to stay locked in and not let one race define them because they're so invested.
One of the biggest things that I have learned or taken away from my coach, Anthony Pericini, is the statement of you are your best data point. You aren't your worst. You are your best data point, right? Alex Ronkovic last year, he can talk for himself, but he probably had the worst year of his career last year. Now he's come back with a vengeance, and people only know him as Alex Ronkovic of this year and the world champs of 2024. They don't know him of 8th place Alex Ronkovic of the world champs of 2025. They don't know him of placing 6th at Hong Kong. So you're right, Bracken. Like, you know, someone like myself and the way the athletes are racing these days, of course we're going to have bad days, but people don't remember the bad days. I'm James Kelly that almost broke the world record last year, and I'm James Kelly that came from behind and placed 2nd in Phoenix from nowhere. I'm not James Kelly who placed 12th and was an embarrassment in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. On that note, this race was crazy. We saw things and we saw athletes try things that we have not seen yet. I'll be interested to hear JK's perspective actually being in the race. But I think first and foremost, the storyline has to be Alexander Ronkovic, as JK said, coming in and winning 53.16. That's 1 second off of his world record. There was actually, we were there in the venue. We thought he originally did it when he first crossed the line, and Hyrox thought he did it too. They later clarified that he just missed it. I mean, this is going to be kind of weird because JK's here, but BK, like, Can anybody stop Ronk right now?
I had the exact opposite takeaway as you. My takeaway was
Oh!
4 men could have won that race. And they all almost have equal claim to that title. Yeah, Ronk took it, but Ronk was losing twice late in the race. So yeah, he closed it out and he gets the glory. But James, if his swing happens a little bit earlier or Ronk gets no repped a little bit, James wins that race. And if Rich has a wall ball like we've seen him have before, Rich wins that race. And Sean Noble took that thing by the throat and looked like this might just be a breakout, grab it by the throat and go moment. And he didn't close it out. But I took it as in all 4 men could have won that race. And Ronk had the best last move. Second best last. James had the best last move, but Ronk played it just a little bit earlier than James did.
I totally agree. And my thought is looking back at the last major that Alex was in toe-to-toe with Dylan until the wall balls. Right here, 4 people enter the wall balls, very similar time as each other. Alex still finds a way to come out. I think that he definitely is beatable, despite having 1 second off the world record and the world record in his last 2 appearances. But it just confirms you need to do something to him before you reach wall balls, because he's not dropping that thing. Doesn't matter. He could do 120 reps. You better be clean on your reps, because that's the only way that you're making enough time as soon as you are to the wall ball station. But he is beatable.
I have no idea because I didn't see him the whole race after ski erg.
You ran the strangest race of the race.
I did, man. I did. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that though, JK, because BK, I don't know if you realize this, but run 1, the leaders in run 1 on the solo race came in 6 seconds faster than run 1 in the doubles race the next night. Ronk and Luke Greer, Ronk and Luke Greer took run 1 hotter than the doubles teams took it the night before. I think that's the thing that blows my mind about Ronk is you go back to 2 or 3 years ago, and he outstationed everybody with the exception of maybe Hunter, but he couldn't run, and that was his knock, right? And then now I'm looking at his run times, which is a little bit it's not completely accurate, just given the fact they did not do the Rock Zone time. They did make it like an elite course. His total runtime, BK, 30:30. If I would have told you that Ronk was running 30:30 2 years ago, you would have laughed.
No way. He ran a 4:10 mile. Yeah, Ronk strikes me as someone who is only out there racing.
Yeah.
If someone leads, I am leading you now. Like if someone surges, I am surging. And for whatever reason, I don't know him personally, but for whatever reason, his body abides by those racing rules. Sometimes it doesn't work. Like we saw it at Worlds, but more often than not, he can run what a normal person would consider a foolish effort strategy, and his body hangs in there. And then Luke has the running chops to run that way. He doesn't yet have the Hyrox chops to keep it the whole time, but he has the running acumen to go out at that pace and be just sipping effort, right?
Yeah, if
but
Ron
shouldn't, but he does.
Yeah, if JK is the story of the back end of the race, Luke Greer was the story of the front end of the race, because everybody that was there was like, "What is this dude doing? He is running way too hard." And then he'd start to fall back in a station, and he'd be like, "All right, well, that was fun, flash in the pan." And then he would surge on that next run and try to overtake Ronk and take him by 5 seconds. And then he'd fall back and be like, "All right, well, the sleds are going to get him." And he just kept doing it. And so that was cool to see, kind of to your point, someone actually trying to put those surges in early. Doesn't seem to have affected Ronk in the back half of the race, but that was, something I thought was very interesting was Luke Greer's tactics. And to your point, if he is able to figure it out, like he'll be, up there competing for a top 5 spot in no time.
So James, I want to ask you, because for a little bit, you were that Ronk style. You surged everyone into ski erg to start races off. Like you would surge at whatever it took to make your point there in coming out of it. And now for a few races, we haven't seen that. And you came into this one and you did not go up and play with Luke. What's been the evolution of you as a racer to reflect that strategy?
To put it simply, it was before Anthony Perricini and then now with Anthony Perricini. Before Anthony Perricini, I would just take off like a rocket and try and hold on, not necessarily think a lot. And I think there's a part of me that thinks sometimes that's actually a good way to race, not thinking and just going. But if I want to be in the elite level, the elite field, I needed to focus on my strengths a lot more. And my strengths can be and are different parts of the race. It can be in that middle section, and it also obviously can be at the end as well. So that's what we focus on. I also think since Melbourne as well, we just went back to how I got a name in this sport, and that was probably more so that 2024 season and the 2024 World Champs in Nice, when again I wasn't necessarily in the picture until the lunges, and then popped out and placed third, and that was the game plan all along. Like the comeback from Thursday night, yeah, sure, you can call it a comeback, but it was tactical, right? It was purposeful. As I said off air, Bracken, it was almost perfect from me, and I say almost perfect because Ronk still beat me by 20 seconds. So, like I focus on focus on opportunities to improve, absolutely. But I think a lot of people underestimate the power of really focusing on your strengths and to make them absolute weapons. And that's what I've been able to try to do and continue to do with Anthony.
Yeah, so for those of you that have not gone back and watched the race yet, I said that if Luke was a story of the front half, JK was a story of the back half. Coming into lunges, JK, I believe, was sitting in sixth place, about 53 seconds coming into lunges behind Tomasz Tverdik, and then put in the fastest lunge of the day for the elite field. Let me just get this stat right. Your lunges were done in 2:38, which is crazy. And then you actually, I don't know if you probably do know this because I'm sure you've already looked at the data. I don't know why I said it that way. You looked at the data. You actually negative split run 8 from run 7. So coming out of the lunges, you ran about 8 seconds faster in run 8. And then you had to have one of the craziest cadences I've ever seen in men's wall balls because actually, I saw it live. It was the craziest cadence I've ever seen. And you went unbroken and did your wall balls in 3:19. So JK did sandbag lunges and wall balls in about 5 minutes and 45 seconds, which is one of the fastest combinations that we've ever seen a male elite athlete hammer that. So I guess you kind of said that was the plan all along, but what did that feel like for you? So you knew how far back you were, because basically there was Ronk kind of leading it, and then there was this pack of Sean Noble, Rich Ryan, and Tomasz that they were kind of working together, and you probably knew that you were about a minute off. Obviously, you have to have crazy self-belief to be an elite athlete, but when you got to the lunges, did you think like, oh hell yeah, it's on? Or was there any moment of like, I don't know if I can surpass?
To be completely honest with you boys, I thought I was gone at the farmers carry. I thought it's gonna be really tough to qualify. When I mean gone, to qualify. I then got into the lunges, and I'm smirking because after the race, I told this to Anthony that my central nervous system must be like very fresh, because I picked up that sandbag and I was like, hang on a second, like, is this 30 kg? And all of a sudden I was just popping. I was doing my thing, and Halfway during the lunges, I noticed that I had scraped a lot of time, a lot of meters from the lads that were ahead of me. And then I started believing a little bit more, just seeing how fatigued a lot of them were in front of me. To then, same thing when I ran into the wall balls. I picked up that wall ball, boys, and I was like, and I did my first rep. I was like, hang on a second, like this is light today. Normally it feels a little bit heavier. And I did my first 10. I'm like, here we go. And consequently, like,
because when you started wall balls, you were 20. I think Tomash and Sean, if I remember correctly, obviously don't have these numbers, but just watching on the screen, I think that they had both clipped 20 because Ronk and Rich were in the 30s and 40s, and then you out wall balled everybody to the end.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did look over when I started and saw, because Luke Greer was ahead of me. He had 2 or 3 ahead of me, and then Tomas and Sean and yeah, they had 20 or so. But it was more the feeling, right? The feeling of those wall balls and the feeling of those lunges were like the feeling of the wall ball and the feeling of the sandbag was very light. And I just put that down to what Anthony and I have done since Melbourne. In terms of just being able to freshen myself up and get back to, I guess, more of a higher fitness level. And sorry, I probably shouldn't say it that way. Not a higher fitness level, but a fresher fitness performance, right? Like it wasn't until the final wall ball though that I didn't know I was in second place then either. I thought Rich and Sean would have finished by then, but it wasn't until that final wall ball that I crossed the line and obviously saw that I was in second. So yeah, but look, self-belief, like I'm the first to say that no matter where I am in the race, I'm still continuing to tell myself that I can win. It's not second or it's not third. It's not just to qualify. Like I'm always thinking, hey, like I'm always out there to win. There was, as I said, there was moments in that race that I thought to myself, geez, this is going to be tough. But yeah, from the lunges onwards, there was light, and I saw the light and ran towards it.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about wall balls, I think we definitely need to address what happened with Rich during the race. Matt, you want to give a recap on Rich's debacle?
Yeah, so I was actually going to just talk about it in terms of like the judging as a whole. So for those of you that may not have seen the race, if you go back and watch the clip, they're starting about, I don't know, 20 reps in. Rich starts getting tapped on his ankle, right? And so this is something that the Elite 15 athletes have agreed to in the briefing ahead of time. If you've never been in the Thunderdome, it is impossible to hear. I would be curious from JK's perspective as an athlete who's actually been wall balling in the Thunderdome and elite race, but you can't hear shit. So if you're telling an athlete that they're being no repped, it doesn't matter what you're telling them, they can't hear you. So what they've decided is that if you're being no repped for depth, they will tap you on the leg, and that tells you that you're being no rep for depth. If you go back and you watch Rich's wall balls, which I have now watched a couple of times, and it wasn't just Rich, it was other athletes as well. There are athletes getting no repped for quality reps, just full stop. It happened on the men's side. It also happened on the women's side. And so Rich actually came in and he passed Ronkovic. His cadence was faster. He passed Ronkovic at 30 wall balls. So he got 2 wall balls ahead. And then all of a sudden, no reps start flying in. I mean, he's just getting tapped. Rich is trying to wave. They've been instructed that if they have a problem with their judge, the elite athletes can wave someone else over. I think it was hard for them to see because he was still wall balling, so he didn't stop and wave. He was like throwing the wall ball and then going like this. Head judge finally came over. They actually took Noble's judge off though because they were confused. And then they did finally get it right. I think in fairness, it's hard to say that that is completely what cost Rich his spot, because Rich will be the first to tell you he did eventually lose his head and lose his cool a little bit with what was happening. And I think that that kind of was the beginning of the end. But it's not really just that. I mean, we saw it all weekend. Cole Learn got a suspect penalty on the burpees. We saw Lauren Weeks getting no rep for depth, which makes no sense. Lauren Weeks basically touches her butt to her ankles on every wall ball. Now that one doesn't, that doesn't change the outcome. Joanna won by, and this is no disrespect to Lauren Weeks, but Joanna Wettrick won by over 2 minutes. That wasn't going to change the outcome of that race. But then we also saw it in the men's doubles race. Hunter and Jake got one of the most questionable warnings on sandbag lunges that I've ever seen. So I guess it definitely does apply to Rich, but I think it applied to the whole weekend. I'm a proponent of judging, and the standard is the standard, and we should hold the standard. But what I will say is, as an observer of the sport and someone who watches it, I think that we have actually tightened the screw too far the other way, and we are now over judging, and we have judges inserting themselves into the race when it doesn't need to be inserted. I just think I don't know what the answer is. I'd be curious for the panel's perspective, but that's what happened. Rich started getting no reps for depth. Feel free to go back and watch the video. If you can find a bunch of no reps or the amount that he got for depth, I'll pay you $100 because I'm certain that you won't be able to see it. And then I also think, like, on burpees specifically, we're now judging them so hard, it's no longer appealing to watch. There has to be some balance between the Hunter hop, which was borderline cheating, and what we're doing now, because the athletes are so timid and so passive. These burpee broad jumps are horrible to watch. It's just not fun anymore. And we want to see athletes go fast. So I guess that's the context. I will now shut up, and I'm curious what the panel thinks.
Yeah, I think that it's not necessarily the judges want to be seen on camera and like, look, I made a difference, but I feel as though it's kind of, they want to justify that they're a judge. See, look, I'm paying attention. I can call someone out on a rep, even if it's not justified. Because that happens, I'm sure, a bunch of people with office jobs, like you submit something and then it gets review comments. And it's like, I did the same exact thing as last report, didn't change anything, but suddenly it's wrong this time. Like, I feel as though the judges just want to let you know that they're a judge.
I don't know about any of that. I know we're opening ourselves up to the form police online by saying his reps were good. Now, I'm actually in agreement with you. I didn't see bad form. My belief on getting parallel in videos is that it's kind of like a pregnancy test, in that there's no such thing as a false positive. There can be a false negative, but there's no such thing as a false positive. So with this, I think that a rep, if it looks like you're too high, the angle could be wrong. If someone's like not getting to depth, but the judge is allowing it, it could be that the angle's wrong. But anytime someone looks like they got to full depth, they definitely got to full depth, because you never see it too far. And Rich's, along with several of the women, Lauren Weeks, was going full depth and under. You don't see false negatives in wall balls. You only see false positives, I guess opposite of pregnancy test, but it's like you can only judge one of them. So I'm in agreement. I think the judges are bad, not across the board, but they're so strict, and the punishment is now severe enough that on burpee broad jumps, people will neuter their form immediately if they don't want that red card. Like that 30 centimeter thing suddenly got shifted to like 1 finger width for some people. It's just crazy. Inconsistent, and it's not, again, like,
and the
if you're
staggered
athletic,
stance, bringing your back foot up, is that really an advantage? Your back foot not being behind your front foot, is that really an advantage?
It's for stepping past it, not stepping to behind it, right? Like, anyway, I think the video was pretty accurate this race, of showing that people are being dinged for things that they don't need to be.
James, question for you as an athlete. Do you adjust your approach like at certain zones if you see someone ahead of you getting a yellow card? Or are you like, oh, the foreign police are out right now? Or are you like, I'm just going to try to get away with, not saying you're trying to cheat, but like get away with something until they call it?
No, I don't look at or think about anyone else apart from what I'm doing, right? If I've gotten a warning, like that's when I will change my cadence, change my technique, etc. Now, I don't know any inside word here, but from my end, I actually think the judges have been told if you see a rep that is on the borderline to call it, then not to call it, right? So I think maybe even 6 months ago, maybe it wasn't as if it was that was the message. It was like, no, you just call it as you see it. If it's a second thought, I think they're told to call it as a no rep, not a rep. That's how I see it. It's like if there's a second thought that it's a no rep, it's a no rep. It's not the other way, right? That's all I see it. Now, look, I'll be completely honest and transparent. If I was Rich right now and I got those no reps on the weekend, I'd probably be thinking otherwise, right? Let's be honest. Like it's the way of the world. I'm sitting here right now, coming second and getting hardly no reps in the weekend and going, no, what's like it was fine, right? And that's the truth. And like that's exactly what everyone would be like. However,
I think it's how you should be though too. I actually think that's
sure,
I think that's how you should be. I think that's the problem is that it's been inconsistent. It's like now we're messing with people's livelihoods or potential to qualify for something because the judging is, let's be honest, my view of something is probably different than Bracken's. So we're introducing that element of like maybe you get a judge that's, I'm not saying you did, but I'll just say Elite 15 athlete A gets a judge that's more lenient than Elite 15 athlete B. And that can be the difference in prize money. That can be the difference in placement. That can be the difference in qualifying or not qualifying.
Well, now it is. The races are tight and people are coming off of stations with momentum or without it.
Absolutely, Bracken. Like we see like how many races lately has qualifying spots been
seconds.
Seconds, and
we've had photo finishes.
Right.
Yeah.
15 seconds separated Rich and Sean from Tomash. So in theory, if that had gone a little bit worse for Rich, he could have been on the outside looking in.
Yeah. As you just said though, Matt, like what is the answer though? Like I don't know.
So with wall balls, if you don't go to full depth, you're shorting the rep a little bit. What would you say to raising the height of the targets so that you need to get your legs involved to get it there and not care about depth?
God,
what are your thoughts on that?
BK wants us to do 100 reps to 11 feet like
No,
CrossFit when our legs are cooked.
Well, maybe we've talked about burpee broad jumps. Make it 100 meters or 120. I mean, make it 120 meters and take the rules out. Like fall forward, jump like crazy, but we're going to do a lot of reps and the distance is going to neuter your form a little bit. What if we make the wall ball higher? Like you're going to have to engage your legs and drive, but we're not going to judge depth anymore, especially since full depth is faster than half depth. And I will die on that hill. Going to full depth, you can bounce. You can't bounce if you're breaking muscularly. So what if you just raise it? Is there maybe that's not the answer, but how do we keep it so that judges who clearly can't identify a hip crease and a knee at the same time don't have to do that?
Maybe that is an answer, Bracken. Maybe it is a little bit more knowledge and understanding of what a wall ball rep actually is as well, right? I've got no idea if Hyrox goes through standards, and I'm assuming they do with their judges.
They do,
and I would, yeah, absolutely. I'd hope they would, but I know for a fact I've thought about this for the burpee broad jumps. I've thought about the concept of no matter who you are, no matter who you are, but we are jumping a meter every time, and a meter no matter what. So everyone is doing the same amount of burpees, which ultimately means whether you're a taller athlete, smaller athlete, doesn't matter. You're doing exactly the same amount of burpees, which ultimately means fitness takes over.
So everyone is line to line to line to line.
Correct. Which means fitness of the burpee broad jump takes over. That's what I think the burpee broad jump should be. So everyone's doing the same amount. Now, I'll be honest. I reckon Dylan Scott would probably do something maybe 38 to 40 burpees per 80 meters. I do between 44 and 46, depending on how I'm feeling. Now, like, that's not me saying that I'm worse off. It's just because Dylan's got a better broad jump than I do, right? Imagine if we actually just went, no, 80-meter burpee broad jumps, everyone has to do, if it's a meter, what's that? For 80.
80. Yeah. So it's just 80 broad jumps for a meter.
And
each.
that is testing burpee fitness then. That's fitness testing to me.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's kind of like the PFT, because in the PFT they have you do burpee over a line, right? So you don't have to burpee broad jump. You burpee and you jump over the line. You just go back and forth, and so it'd be the number of burpees.
I don't know if I like it or not, but what I do feel is that I'm in favor of anything that removes judges' opinions.
Right.
And so, like, what Hyrox would have to answer: what are we testing? Are we testing burpees or are we testing broad jumps?
Right.
Burpees are easy to score. Broad jump combined with it is hard.
Yeah.
So point to point, line to line, like, who cares how I feel about the test? That is scoreable. That's easy. I would back that change, even if I thought it takes away athleticism. What if they're not trying to test athleticism? I don't know what they want. Why? I don't know why they put the burpee broad jump in. Same thing with wall balls. Do they do it because they want to test squatting or the ability to throw a ball into the air? Like, which one matters more to them, and then create the exercise rules to reflect that.
Sure. Yeah. I want to throw it to Jack because he's been trying to jump in with a point.
Yeah. So my idea, without changing the target height, the number of reps, for something like squat depth, most of the athletes, especially on the men's side, it might be a little more difficult on the women because you have a little more varied height, it seems. But why don't you just put like a detachable bar on the side of the rig and have a judge just eye level right there, just looking the entire time? You have one judge, like that particular zone.
So everyone adjusts it when they get there, like a bike seat, like
like a bike seat.
Just raise or lower it, and then just you're staying eye level. They just like raise their hand. Yeah,
you just put it to the knee.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah, because like Lauren Rentala and Mark Howe have access to this technology that you can actually, you like put it on your clicks, and it shows you if they're getting to depth or not. That would be interesting. I guess the only question is, technically you'd have to put that on the elites from the beginning, because you can't, no one wants to slow down when they get in and fasten something to their knee. I don't know how well you could run with it.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
There's got to be a technology way, like lasers or something. I just, it's not going to be perfect. And I don't want to be too critical of Hyrox here, because I think that they're trying to clean up they're trying to clean up the sport. They're making it more standardized, and I appreciate that. But what I don't appreciate, and that's why I didn't want to just talk about this in the context of Rich, because it wasn't just Rich. It was elite athletes all throughout the field. It wasn't just Hunter and Jake. In that doubles race, 3 teams got knocked for hip extension. And I don't think those judges know what hip extension is. So like, that's my problem, is it's not about Rich Ryan. It's about, you're never going to convince me that Lauren Weeks doesn't go ass to grass on every single wall ball. And the last 2 races, she's getting knocked for depth, and I can't see it. So I think that's the problem, is like, it's like we want to see people go fast. I think that's why I use the example of the Hunter hop. I understand that it is probably cheating, But damn, when Hunter was doing the Hunter hop in 2023, burpees were fun to watch. And now what's not fun to watch is to watch an Elite 15 athlete go down, look at their judge, see where they place their hands, look to make sure that they're not going to get, penalized, step up and then jump. It's not exciting.
We even saw a judge placing her feet down before the landing.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was wild on Hunter and Jake's race. So JK, you probably haven't seen this because you probably haven't watched it back. I'll stand up. So the judge, as Hunter and Jake were doing burpees, she was placing her foot before they took their jump. Really? And it was like, do you even know what you're doing? Because they could easily jump past that. Or they might
on
not.
JK's team. Jump to the mark.
Yeah, jump to the mark. So anyway, we'd like to see judging get improved. Let's move on just because we are approaching the hour mark. Hats off to Sean Noble. Guy said he was going to go, and he was going to go for it, and he did. I believe, Jack, keep me honest, that's Sean's first sub 54 as captain of the Sean Noble fan.
He has a couple. Oh yeah, captain. I think he's got 2 in the 54s before this race, and now he is in the 53s.
Now, Matt, was it you before the race when everyone's like, "This is a flyer. I'm not sure," but I think it was you.
It was me because he said he had a grade 2 soleus calf tear.
But then I think you also said, but if there's anyone who can pull it off, just wing it and see what happens, it's him. I think you said that.
Sean Noble, I did say that. So if you are listening, mate, I gave you props. Come at me.
I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
I've had a calf tear. I know what it felt like to try to drive power into the ground the first time. I know how uncomfortable toe off felt at pace the first couple times back. I know what carbon plates did to my psyche when I came back from a calf tear. And so I just thought, no, I'm not buying it. You don't have a puncher's chance of racing hard when you haven't run since your soleus tear. And I was wrong. I was unfamiliar with your game, Mr. Noble.
Yeah. Sean, it was a hell of an effort, and excited to see what you can do once you get fully healthy and back to training. This race, though, boys, was tight. 8th place was 55-18. We start to see that. We normally start to see that kind of trail off. Obviously, we've got a lot that's going to happen between DC, Brisbane, and London with the regionals. But that Warsaw race is set up to be quite the race because one of Bo Wills and or John Wynn is not going to win Brisbane. And so they're going to have to race in Warsaw. There's a good chance you think about that European race. Tomasz Tvrdik still needs a spot. Alan Plow still needs a spot. Luke Greer is going to be running that race. Louis is going to be running that race. And then there's a whole host of other Europeans who didn't run this race who are going to be in that as well. And then, it's not a guarantee that Cole Learn wins that DC race. I mean, I'd say he's probably the favorite right now, but Cole might have to go to Warsaw. Again, we talk about this every week. The depth of field on the men's side, it's wild.
It's crazy.
I have a question on that topic for James. So far this season.
Also, James, if you have to go, we understand. You just let us know.
I'm good. I'm good, guys.
Okay. So far this season, we've seen Alex, Dylan, James, like you've been in one race and we haven't seen Hunter or Tim. They weren't here this race. Now we've seen how close everybody is to Alex. This world championship, you're going to probably have legitimately 7 to 10 people who could truly podium and or win just based on some of the performances we've seen. What's going through your head in terms of how you think the race is going to play out? Because I think it's almost a guarantee that it's just going to be who can hang on from the front. That is likely going to be what most people end up doing. But I don't think that that's necessarily the winning strategy, given that we've seen people come like yourself come from behind.
So the first thing I'll say about that, Jack, is in my eyes, there's 6 that can win. Now you guys can decide the 6. I'm not telling you anything. There's going to be 9. I'm going to say 10 that can podium. There's a difference though. There's 6 that can win. There's probably going to be 10 that can be up on that podium. And to answer your, I guess, question, it is going to be insane, isn't it? Just thinking about it now and being I'm relieved that I don't necessarily have to qualify anymore. I'm already getting excited for it, you know. But there's 6 that can win. There's 10 that can podium in my eyes. Geez, it's going to be fascinating. And the females is so different, isn't it? Well, sorry to say that way. I'm not trying to disregard some of the females there, but you'd probably go half that. You'd probably go 3 that can win, maybe, because they've done it before, and 6 that can podium. Thoughts?
I've got a hot take on that, but we'll wait till we get to the women's race. On the men's race, I think what's interesting is, and what I would love to see is, we get robbed that we only get to see the 6 that can win in a race at World Championships. Because the one thing that is interesting to me about this race that I would have loved to have seen differently, and Rich talked about this a little bit, so I don't think he's going to mind me saying this. I think prior to this weekend, Rich wanted to win. I don't think Rich believed that he could win. I now think that after this weekend, I think Rich probably believes that he can win, because I think if the wall balls maybe go a little bit differently, he needs to keep his head on his shoulders for sure. But the other thing that I thought was interesting, and he talked about this on his own podcast, he probably could have put a surge into Ronk on run 8. He was running better than Ronk at that point in the race. But he even admits he made a decision to just run on his shoulder instead of trying to take Ronk for a ride. And who knows what Ronk would have done, right? Does he go with him? Does he let him go? Does he say, I'm Alexander Ronkovich and I can go 100 wall balls unbroken and I've never seen you do it and you've never been here before? Maybe. But does he try to go with him? I don't know. My point in bringing that situation up is, Jack, I don't think that it's going to be someone leading from the front, because the last time we saw that happen, if we go all the way back to 2024, we saw Sandy and Ronk work together against Hunter, and it almost ruined. I mean, it did ruin Hunter, but it almost ruined Sandy. So my point is that if we have 4 or 5 guys that try to take it out, there's no guarantee that they don't all blow themselves up, and that we don't have someone else that can win that doesn't play that strategy, that doesn't come from the front. And so anyway, I guess my point is, we don't ever see the top 5, top 6 guys all together until Worlds. We didn't see it last year. Hunter was signed up for this race. He didn't race. He ran on Saturday though. Tim didn't come, right? So like, this was a great peek into Worlds, but the race could have been entirely different if Hunter and Tim were there.
As a yearly fan of the sport, it's frustrating when you don't get all the best at every race. But from a world championship storyline, there's nothing better than a little uncertainty to find out who's bringing what to the table. If everyone's done the same thing each week, the only thing left is a Hail Mary. Otherwise, it just plays out how it plays out. Every year,
but I think the men's side is deep enough, though, that I don't think it would be that way. Because there's so many, because to JK's point, there's so many guys that can win right now. They might all try a different you don't know what package they're going to bring to Worlds.
Here's what I mean by this. JK just showed he can come from the back, but he didn't win. Rich showed he can front run, but he didn't win. Hunter came in fresh to Sunday and didn't win. Like, they all kind of did, but just came up one notch behind what would have proven to be a strategy at Worlds. So now we look and we're like, JK could go back to front running days, or he could roll the dice, but we actually haven't seen it wind up in first from 8th. We haven't seen that yet. And Rich could do it, but we haven't, like, we saw him go for it last year, but we haven't seen him run his race and wind up. But I like that little bit of intrigue that still, if JK gets 3 more tries against Tim and Hunter and Ronk, I think we're probably going to know what the strategy is going to be at Worlds if we've seen it work. I just love that we haven't yet seen many people's ultimate strategy work.
Right. But Matt, you've got to realize as well, from now on in, you are going to see a lot more of the top tier athletes racing against each other a lot more due to the new structure. I know we didn't see Hunter and Tim, but from now on, a lot of us are going to be racing.
Yeah, you're going to have to race majors because the points are worth it. But
the points are worth it, exactly.
But that's not till next season. We're talking about right now. And
we're talking about right now.
As far as I'm concerned, I showed up and was warming up, and I was like, "What the heck is Hunter jogging around for?" I thought he was hurt. I thought he was only doing solo, and then I
doubles.
see him, doubles, and then I see him do a solo race on Saturday, and I'm like, "Wait, you're here? Why didn't you run that solo race?" So there's clearly got to be some strategy involved in like, hey, I probably don't think that I could win at the moment. I'm just going to save it for Sweden. Already got his qualifying spot. But the fans, I think, of the sport were pretty disappointed to see him show up on Saturday and skip a race that he was at just to give us that head-to-head matchup against all the top dogs, because it was a fantastic race, and who wouldn't have wanted one more guy at the front?
Yeah, but just wait till Hunter's not hurt. He's going to be absolutely amazing when he's not hurt, and be fresh after not having 2 races under his belt.
Yeah, look, I don't know if Hunter McIntyre has, he can do what he wants. He's a 3-time world champion, but if that's the logic, Jack, that doesn't really make sense to me, because even if he wins that pro race, it's only worth 105 points. And in order to get 105 points in this race, he would have had to finish in 5th place. So does Hunter not think that is that why he didn't run? And he doesn't think he can get top 5? I have a hard time imagining that's why Hunter McIntyre doesn't line up. He probably doesn't think that anybody in that field can beat him.
The moment Tim undeclared, someone in the pro field messaged and said, I guarantee Hunter doesn't race anymore either. If Tim's not there, he's not going to race. And I don't know if that led to it or not, but the reality is the moment that happened, and maybe even prior, his only priority was the doubles world record. He wanted to be fresh, he and his partner, for that, to attack that. That was, he's been, what do you always say, collecting partners like Infinity Stones, trying to take down all the doubles records. Him
and Jake are perfect for each other, because Jake is the English Thanos and Hunter is the American Thanos, because they just collect doubles partners.
Yeah.
Like they're going out of style.
My take is that his injury thing was just a smokescreen so that he could be fresh for doubles.
Yeah, correct.
I wish he would have just said we're going after doubles, but I think he knew he would get flack for doing that at an Elite 15 race.
And again, I run the risk of Hunter's posse absolutely bullying me online, because that's always I can wind up on here to part of sports. But
why do you care about that, mate?
I don't. That's why I'm going to say what I'm going to say. No, I don't, because if that's the point, then why race Saturday night at all?
Well, I don't have an answer for that.
No,
I was only
because my point is, because I agree with you. He wanted the doubles record fresh, but just say that. Say I'm not going to race on Thursday because I want the doubles record, and then I'm going to race solo on Saturday to get the points. Don't say I can't race solo because I can't go hard back-to-back days. Don't say that and then try to go hard back-to-back days.
Do you think it was just he saw fast times and thought, "Oh, I might be able to snag a world record"?
No.
Maybe. The reality of the matter, right? Bracken, you're right. He wasn't injured. Let's just preface that. He was not injured. So that's the first thing. The second thing from my end, he knew Alex was coming over. He does not want to race Alex until World Champs. Third thing is he needs 5 races under his belt. And that's why he raced. He raced Saturday night in the pro because, 1, it was a fast course and potentially he was thinking that he could break the world record. And 2, he needed 105 points. And due to the fact that he placed second and got a 54, he only got 100 points. That's the fact of the matter. I don't want to give him anything here, but as someone said before, Hunter can do what he wants. And he will continue to do what he wants because we've seen that for years and years on end. Even to the point, I was getting annoyed that Dylan Scott wasn't coming over to Melbourne. Alex Ronkovic didn't come to Melbourne. Guess what? They can do what they want because they prove themselves in Hamburg.
Until next year.
until next year, right? But yeah, just wait till Hunter's not injured. Oh my god, he's going to be unstoppable.
My only thought is the last time it seems as though
Jack's not taking that. Jack's not taking that softball.
I get it. I'm just adding on to this, but the last time that he basically disrespected the field, it did not go well, and it seems as though the only person he cares about is Tim. Tim wasn't here. Tim never said he was going to show up. He scratched. He didn't show up. Period. We knew Tim was not showing up. Hunter originally was supposed to show up, but it seems as though if I'm James, Alex, Rich, anybody else who has the chance of winning Sean World Championship at this point, you're just getting overlooked, and Hunter does not believe in you right now. And I think that is going to backfire at World Championship.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go, Bracken.
Well, Hunter does exceedingly well when there is a face and a name. One person, he's the only threat to me being the best in the world. He goes up on the wall. There's a dagger through it. He goes to sleep looking at it. He wakes up looking at it. He did it for years in OCR. He fabricates it when there is no next person for him to fight. He comes up with one and he puts it there. But Hyrox has now gotten to the point where OCR got, where, like James said, there's 5 or 6. You can't be singularly focused on 5 or 6 people. And so you have to just then choose one. And his is his most recent biggest opponent, which was Tim. But the fact is, on any given day, Tim will take 6 at World Championships. He may win it 9 out of 10 times, but on that 10th time, there's 5 other people who could beat him. And I don't think he wins 9 out of 10. But even if he's the favorite, there are still 5 or 6 other people who all can beat him. Like, if you are your best data point, we have some data points in this sport who are scary. And so you can't focus on one. And that's difficult when that's your MO.
But we got to move on because we've got to give the women their due. I will say, and G and JK, you don't have to stick around for that piece. It might just be me talking to myself because everyone else got obligations. But the last point that I will say on that is what I do know that he also cares about, though, is the world record. And Ronk set the world record in Hamburg, and then he almost set it again. So I hear your point. And yes, Tim is the world champion, and Tim did beat him in that race, and I get that. But I think that when we do the power rankings coming up, all I'm saying is there's going to be a very strong argument that Alexander Ronkovich is the man to beat right now. And with that, on to the women really quickly. Your top 5, Joanna Wettrick with a 56.03. And then we had Lauren Weeks with a 58.31, Vivian Tafuto 59.01, Linda Meyer 59.16, and rounding out your top 5, Gabrielle Nikora Baker with a 60-minute. Look, I said this before when we did the draft episode that I would continue to pick Lauren Weeks 10 times out of 10. If Lauren Weeks is available and I've got the first pick, I'm picking Lauren Weeks. But there was only one more race where I could watch that happen, where I wouldn't have to rethink that strategy. And I'm now going to go on record, and I'm going to say that right now, on February 4th, 2026, the woman to beat in the women's field is Joanna Wettrick. We thought that race, that world record from Glasgow would stand for a long time. We thought that was going to stand for a long time. Bracken, Jack, as historians of hybrid and OCR, can you help contextualize 56.03 by a second-year athlete, and not just doing that in any race, but doing that in a major against the greatest of all time? That had to be one of the most dominant, complete performances that we have ever seen on such a big stage.
I can't contextualize it. We knew she would get to a level like this. None of us thought it was now. And this was a historically fast course, which we rarely can say about North America, but it wasn't historically 2 minutes fast, right? The men's side was historically fast for a major, but no one ran 51. This is disgusting. When's the last time we saw a 2.5 minute win in a major, Jack? What is that?
Meg maybe at Worlds in Nice.
Yeah,
That's probably
2024.
probably the only
And even
time.
then, she ran a 60 that day.
Yeah.
I can't make sense of this other than she is still getting better.
This is a Bob Beeman-esque type of improvement. And I know that Glasgow wasn't, too far off, but the fact that all last year's reigning world champion, Linda's in there. We've got multiple time world champion, Lauren Weeks, Vivian, second place at a major earlier this year. They're all in the field finishing 2.5 to 3 minutes behind on a day where just Joanna was unbeatable. Her level of performance,
Lauren Weeks got second with a 58:31, which is still
incredible.
one of the fastest. It's one of the fastest. I don't know this off the top of my head, but I would imagine it is still a top 10 fastest time of all time in the women's field, and she got beat by 2.5 minutes.
Yeah,
that's a crazy stat. Lauren Weeks runs a top 10 time all time and gets beat by 2.5 minutes
by almost a station.
Yeah. Just to give some perspective. So when Lauren Weeks was 7 or 8 months pregnant and she ran world championship, she was about 7.5% behind the winner. This race, she was nearly 5%. So just ridiculous how dominant Joanna was.
And it sucks to center the bullseye on Lauren to put this in context, but
it's she's
the gold standard of the sport, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. JK, did you see this time in her wheelhouse this soon?
To be completely honest, no. As her coach, and I've been coaching her for 18 months now. Her Glasgow race against Lauren, what was that? 8 months ago, maybe? No, 9 or 10.
I think it was in March.
Sorry, sorry, like 10 or 11. That was the most impressive thing that I've seen from her until now. She ran this race all by herself, number one, and this time, even 6 months ago at Worlds. Sorry, I've got my timing wrong. Like Worlds champs when she placed second against Linda. I think the biggest thing from my end as a coach was how do we make sure that she's as well-rounded as possible, not just a runner. And if you have a look at her stations now, like she is as much of a station athlete as much as a runner now. And that's where she's gained all the time in the world. That's where she's gained all the time in the world. In fact, it's hilarious to us. I obviously coach Joe and Jess Petro as well. Before the race, we all were staying in the same Airbnb, and it was great. Like a week where the five of us, including Ted Petro, Jess Petro's husband, and then Georgie, my fiance, we were all just in such a good place, not thinking about the race and not mentally getting worked up until we had to. And on Thursday night, Jess and Joanna, she was able to turn it on. She was just able to turn it on. It's been fascinating. There's been a few people that message her and ask if she's been working on her stations, and it's hilarious because you're like, well, what else do you think we're working on, mate? Like, so anyway, it's a phenomenal. It's just been absolutely amazing what she's done this year. Absolutely amazing, and I can't be more proud of her.
To back that up, she only had one station where she wasn't first or second, and she was fifth in burpee broad jumps. Everything else is the class of the field, and her running is on another level. It's like, how can you beat her right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say, like we've talked about with other athletes, like, that's a weakness. You've got to, if you're going to make a move on it, you got to make it there. But like, honestly, it's going to take a lot more than burpee broad jumps to catch Joanna Wetrick right now. I mean, guys, 2.5 minutes.
Well, what's she closing? 3:24 on wall balls, unpressed.
Well, Bracken, she's basically 6'5". She's like touching. I mean, You talk about wall ball. She's
But then she's got to get to depth at 6'5".
True.
Anyway, like to your point, James, she's turned into a station monster. To close at 324, there used to be 2 people on the planet three who closed sub 330. It was Meg, it was Lauren, and then it was a Swiss CrossFitter,
Miriam,
and that's it.
Miriam. Yeah, I think Miriam's the only one that's got. I think she's done a sub.
she did sub 3.
259 or
Sub
258, yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway, to go 324, I don't know, just gross.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, 206 push, 250 pull, 313 burpee broad jump, 415 row, 123 farmers, 249 lunges, 325 wall balls. I mean, whatever I don't know what you call your training program. I know Anthony's got the hybrid engine, but whatever the James Kelly closing plan is working. 249 lunges into 325 wall balls. I mean, that's crazy work. And I mean, it's, again, like, I think if anybody can figure out how to come back, it's Lauren Weeks, right? Like, if anybody can figure out how to get back on top, it's Lauren Weeks. I have nothing but massive respect for Lauren and massive respect for Anthony. And I'm sure that we have not seen the last of Lauren Weeks, but we are watching whenever Lauren Weeks hangs it up. I think like the person who's going to carry the mantle is emphatically already here. I mean, I don't know that we're going to see someone come in and push. I mean, it's going to take a freak athlete to come in and push Joanna at this rate.
Would you try a different strategy next race if you're Lauren? Because trying to break Joanna on the run doesn't seem to be effective because she's just so tough and can hang in there. Kind of like Alex. Doesn't matter. You go out, Luke Greer, you run faster than doubles for that opening 1,000. He's still going to be there. He's going to go with the leader. And I feel like Joanna's going to do that no matter what.
Yeah, she's fought fire with fire. So Lauren has to do one of 2 things. She's got to be able to hang deeper into the race and keep pressure on her, or she has to change it up and let her run unfettered from the front and see what you can do with momentum at the end. I mean, Lauren closed in 401, right? So this is the first time we've seen her probably above 4 in wall balls in a long time.
Well, she was getting
With the judge. Yeah.
to the judge. So
Right. So take 30 seconds away from that. It's still a 2-minute gap.
Yeah.
Take 45 seconds away from that. It's still 145 gap. Like, the gap is big. So you either have to say this is an outlier and I double down, or something changes. She's not going to Worlds to take second. That's not why she's showing up.
No. So, I mean, hats off to Joanna. The Grand Slam is 100% on. It would be, I'll tell you one thing. If I'm pick 1 in the next draft, you can actually, I don't think it matters. I think it's probably fair to say Joanna Wetrick is the first pick in the next draft. And it doesn't matter who's in first place because there has not been a more dominant athlete this year, men or women, than Joanna Wetrick. I mean, right now she is just in a league of her own. Great follow-up race by Vivian. We were getting a lot of Vivian hate, and people were saying that Vivian was overrated. You guys are crazy. That's nonsense. You just don't follow the sport if you thought the Vivian is overrated. We used to make jokes on this show that just go ahead and put her in the 4th place spot, right? That was Vivian back in the day. And now she's once again gone under sub 60. Good to see Linda Meyer come back with a sub 60 race, 59.16. I know she's been working on her running. And the depth of the field here is pretty good too. You've got to go all the way down to 12th place before you see a 62.
So,
and that was 62.00
flat. 62
I don't want
flat.
this to turn into a let's like gloom and doom Lauren, because she's earned the right to trust that she's going to be.
Oh,
just
Bracken wants
fine.
to go back. Okay.
What's
There,
that?
go for it. I said, you want to go back? Keep going.
No.
Go
But
for
I'm going to speak to the chase pack.
it. Yeah.
Chase packs are there now, and we've seen at Worlds a few times where Lauren has had to wall ball back onto the podium. But what did Vivian close in? 327, and then Linda, I think, had the number 1 wall ball, 320 flat. So if you get to wall balls now with this quote unquote chase pack, you're not wall balling yourself back into contention. So what Johanna's now done is she's put people in this position where if you come with me and you don't beat me, you may wind up 7th or 8th. Because there's no wall balling your way back in anymore. These chase pack women have fixed their wall balls. You can't make up 6 spots on wall balls on these women anymore.
The women have historically been better at the wall balls than the men, and I think that is still true. So,
yeah.
All right.
And one more thing on Vivian, she left world record holder, first place in doubles also. So her past 4 big races solo, 3rd, 2nd, 7th, and 3rd. So she's been on the podium 3 of the past 4 races individually and is a heck of a doubles teammate. So really good weekend for her.
Yeah. Shout out to Gabrielle Nicora. Oh, go ahead.
No. You go, Matthew.
I was going to say shout out to Gabrielle Nicora Baker for locking up that qualifying spot. Her and Lena Putters. Impressive. Gabrielle Nicora Baker has now come over to the U.S. 3 times this year and ran the same time twice. And then this is a PR for her at 60 flat. This is someone who's coming on strong. Don't call the APAC region weak. The APAC region's got some dogs. We got some people coming out of APAC.
Talking about, I've heard there's 2 majors in APAC next year.
Rich hates that.
Everyone hates it except APAC. Yeah, they can travel. No one else can.
I think the problem is going back to the chirp that we received from your sister, JK. APAC is a massive region. I think that's the problem. You've got, how far was the flight for you, JK, to get from Australia to Hong Kong?
It's 9 hours to Hong Kong. Yeah.
Brother, in 9 hours, I'm in Eastern Europe. I mean, I am so far from where I'm at today. I mean, that is crazy. So there's probably going to be a main Asia race would be my guess. And then they'll continue to keep one down in ANZ. Is that proper? Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah. By the way, I have not heard there's 2. I just wanted to say that for Rich's sake. Because
I told you, Rich doesn't listen.
True, actually.
He's counting those dollars right now.
Yeah, he's counting those dollars.
We can say whatever we want about him.
That's
Rich
right.
is a doper.
All right. Rich definitely dopes. Real quick on the men's pro double or elite doubles, Jake Williamson, Hunter McIntyre took the win 48-35. Rich Leo took the second spot 49-18. And Gustav Cordua and Sebastian Iverson got that final qualifying spot in 49-30. Pipping James Kelly and Jake Dearden by 1 second. Had to get that jab in there. Should have just run a little harder, JK.
Right.
And then on the women's side, Lauren Weeks and Vivian Tafuto with a new world record of 53-11, securing their qualifying spot at Worlds as a result of Lauren Griffith being injured. Joanna Wetrick and Jess Petro took second, which also would have been a world record, 53-21. Danielle Lowe and Vicky McIntosh, 53-53. And then you've got to actually go down to Melanie Marr and Jennifer Nicholas in the 5th spot that got the second qualifying spot, 55-28. And then friends of the show, Kat Fossbender and Morgan Scholes representing and taking that final qualifying spot, 55-41. Doubles is going to be electric. I am pumped to see that race. The men's race is going to be legit. You got to think Rich Leo, Pelayo should be more healthy than Hunter and Jake have probably established themselves as the favorite, but people can't forget about Tim and Ronk lurking out there. They also put down a crazy fast time. A lot of people, JK and Jake, they're not guys that make excuses, but Jake Dearden literally ran a 2:21 marathon 2 weeks ago. Not exactly great prep to then have to go fast. And then elite doubles, got to think that they'll be a contender on that men's side. And then on the women's side, I mean, good God, could Lauren Weeks and Vivian Tafuto, and I guess Joanna and Jess, is this the year? Maybe let's end on this, unless JK has anything else he wants to talk about with us. Is this the year that we see a women's double team go sub 53? Are we going to see a 52 from a female team this year?
Won't matter. They're both going to get DQ'd. Neither of them are running within 10 meters of their partner on course.
That's
a good
probably
one.
true. That's actually probably fair. But I don't think any of these teams are running within 10 meters of each other. I mean, JK, you and Jake kind of do that. You guys definitely get separated. Jake and Hunter got separated at one point. I mean, they're not
They're
really
all
calling
cheaters.
it. They're all cheaters and they're all doping.
Just Rich. Just Rich.
Just Rich. No, it's going to be exciting that women's doubles at Worlds. It's a funny triangle. Anthony coaches myself. Anthony obviously coaches his wife Lauren and Vivian. I coach Joanna and Jess. So it's exciting. It's exciting, this little battle that they've got between themselves. Boys, I've got to take off. I've got to go for a run.
Yeah, you're good, man. We all got it. My wife is texting me. Yeah, where you at? JK, we appreciate you coming on. Bracken, always a pleasure, never a chore. Jack Bauer, thanks for not pipping me. That would have made my weekend terrible. Any final thoughts from the lads?
Thank you, boys. We'll talk soon.
See you, boys.
Yeah, good job.